Now imagine you are an Aboriginal hunter, having just walked more than 10 kilometers under the 40-degree heat in the central Australian desert. Sweat evaporates so quickly that you don't even realize you've sweated. Sand clings to your feet, dust covers your hair, mosquitoes buzz around your ears, and most importantly, there's no shower, no bathroom, no mint-scented soap, just you, the land, the sky, and a few dry leaves. So, how do you get clean? The answer is, the old Aboriginal people had a proper bathing ritual without needing a single drop of water. They didn't need a shower to feel fresh. Instead, they used something called smoke cleansing. The elders didn't just use fire to roast kangaroo. They also knew how to create a special kind of smoke, from eucalyptus leaves, tea tree, or paper bark, to burn and waft around the body. This smoke has a gentle fragrance and, most importantly, natural antibacterial properties. Stand in the smoke for a few minutes and you not only feel clean but also lighter, as if the day's dust is blown away by the wind. Sound like a luxury spa? Exactly. Just the outdoor version, complete with insect companions and no need for a Visa card. Besides smoke, Aboriginal people also used ash from aromatic woods to rub on the body. Ash not only absorbs sweat but also has alkaline properties, mildly antiseptic and antibacterial. Anyone who's been camping and rolled through a campfire's ashes knows the feeling. But for Aboriginal people, this was a refined technique. The ash had to be cooled just right, not too coarse, and sprinkled on the areas needing treatment, like armpits, feet, or the neck. And what about the skin? No lotion, but they had clay. This special kind of earth was applied not just for ceremonial beauty, but also to protect the skin from the sun, like an ancient sunscreen. After work, one could scrape off the dry clay, taking with it sweat, dust, and excess oil. A skin peel, straight from Mother Earth. And we must mention a truly multi-purpose ingredient, animal fat. You might cringe at this point, but understand, when there was no Vaseline, no Nivea, animal fat was the best friend around. Kangaroo fat, fish fat, were applied to the body for moisture, to prevent chapping, repel mosquitoes, and even for fragrance. That's right, fragrance, because it was mixed with crushed bark or aromatic seeds. Everyone had their own signature scent, like a biological perfume. Importantly, every hygiene ritual of Aboriginal people was spiritually connected. Keeping the body clean wasn't just a biological matter, it was also a spiritual responsibility. A dirty body wasn't just unpleasant, it was seen as unfit to engage with the ancestral world. Before entering ceremony, before stepping onto sacred land, one had to be cleansed, meaning smoke purification, decontamination with earth, and sometimes maintaining silence during the process. Because cleansing the body was also cleansing the mind. And you may ask, what about children? Of course, they were taught from a young age. From crawling around the bushes, Aboriginal kids learned how to wash faces with leaves, smoke cleanse, not through force, but through games and songs. A Dreamtime song might tell of an angry ancestor spirit because someone was lazy to bathe, and the ending wouldn't be pretty. So cleanliness wasn't enforced. It was a way to live in accordance with tradition. If you think ancient Aboriginal people just let their hair and beards grow wild like scrubby desert bushes, then your tribe is quietly laughing at you. Because even without scissors or rechargeable clippers, they were extremely mindful of personal appearance, with some very surprising beauty and cleanliness methods. Hair wasn't just hair. It was a symbol, a connection to ancestors. Many Aboriginal groups saw hair as sacred, so cutting it wasn't done randomly. It could only happen on special occasions, funerals, coming of age, or to mark a life milestone. And cut with what? Sharpened stone. A piece of stone ground as sharp as a primitive razor blade, just sharp enough to shave each strand. And of course done by someone experienced, not some spontaneous haircut job. Hair wasn't thrown away. In some regions, it was kept to make sacred strings, charms, amulets, or ceremonial decorations. You see, every strand of hair held cultural value, and if not cut, then braided. Thick locks were braided into cords wrapped around the head or mixed with animal fat to hold shape, blocking sun, blocking dust, and keeping neat. You could call it a desert-optimized hairstyle. Now imagine living under 40 to 45 degree heat every day, with hot winds, flying sand, and no air conditioning. Your skin would quickly crack and dry out if not cared for. Aboriginal people understood this better than anyone, and they had a proper skincare routine made from earth, plants, and animals. As mentioned before, animal fat was essential, but did you know that besides moisturizing, it helped regulate body temperature, repel mosquitoes, and protect against wind-blown grit? Many warriors would apply fat before a hunt as a kind of soft armor against scratches from the bush. Then there's tree resin, a brilliant, natural serum. Some trees, like bloodwood, exude thick red sap with antiseptic properties. Applied to insect bites or scratches, it prevents infection and relieves pain, like a salve from Mother Nature. And now, the big question: brushing teeth. No Colgate? No worries. Aboriginal people had natural toothbrushes made from twigs. They'd pick small, soft-barked branches like wattle, chew the end until it frayed like bristles, and brush properly, often dipped in ash or resin for added antibacterial effect. And don't be surprised, some Aboriginal elders in their 80s still had all their teeth thanks to brushing the ancestral way. Also, wild mint leaves and aromatic bark were chewed for fresh breath. No one wants to chat with someone who smells like a burnt campfire, right? So keeping the mouth clean, rifan poitete, sinker mouth clean, even without toothpaste, was part of courtesy and communal survival. Yes, this is the part everyone is curious about, but hesitant to ask. Personal hygiene during Dreamtime wasn't limited to just the face or palms. The more sensitive areas were also taken care of very carefully. Aboriginal people used leaves with antiseptic essential oils to wipe, such as tea tree leaves, which today are used to make feminine washes and body cleansers. No toilet paper, but there was soft bark or dry moss, completely environmentally friendly and reusable, depending on the case. Moreover, women knew how to use special herbs like emu bush for hygiene during menstruation. This plant not only provided antibacterial properties, but also reduced odor. And of course, it was used discreetly, following traditional rituals. Aboriginal people didn't have bathrooms, but they had very clear principles of body care. Hair was sacred, skin was a shield, and teeth were honor. They didn't have industrial hygiene products, but they had nature and knew how to use it wisely, respectfully, and with ritual. You might not find a toothbrush in their bag, but you'd see a toothstick on their belt. No lotion, but there was strong-smelling tree resin. And certainly you wouldn't smell anything strange, because for them, cleanliness was part of spiritual life, not just a daily habit. Now comes the part everyone cares about, but rarely says out loud: going to the toilet during Dreamtime. No Japanese smart toilets, no 4-ply scented paper, but don't think Aboriginal people relieved themselves wildly. On the contrary, it was a ritual of survival, cleanliness, and even spiritual significance. And yes, ants and termites sometimes lent a hand. First of all, going to the toilet wasn't done just anywhere. Each Aboriginal group had a fixed spot to relieve themselves, usually far from living areas where it was breezy with soft soil and, most importantly, away from water sources. Because water was sacred. Polluting water was polluting the entire community. So no one dared break the rule. Women and men also didn't share toilet areas. This was both for privacy and belief. Some groups believed that waste carried personal energy, so it needed to be returned to the land respectfully, not mixed up, not carelessly. Now to the fascinating part, the role of diligent insects. You might think that leaving waste in nature causes pollution. No, not when there's the world's best cleanup crew, ants and termites. Aboriginal people chose places near ant nests or termite mounds to relieve themselves, not to tease insects, but because ants would process the waste very quickly. Within a few hours, the entire waste would be broken up, carried away, to become fertilizer for plants or food for the colony. Same with termites. Those towering termite mounds weren't just biological engineering marvels, but extremely efficient bio-waste stations. Many people relieved themselves near termite mounds because termites helped decompose faster, left no smell, and left no trace. Sounds strange? Maybe. But to Aboriginal people, it was cooperating with nature, not just crashing in it. Another factor, carefully considered, wind direction. No one wants to go against the wind, especially in hot weather. Aboriginal people had excellent wind observation skills. They knew where the wind came from in the morning, how it changed in the afternoon, and which areas had natural drafts. Therefore, the relief area was always windy, dry, ensuring both ventilation and natural deodorizing. Wind was the best and free. Exhaust fan. No toilet paper, but nature offered no shortage of options. Leaves. Soft, tough leaves like those from the paperbark tree were often used as toilet paper. Picking the right kind, non-itchy, non-scratchy, was a skill taught from childhood. Fine sand. In desert regions, people used clean handfuls of sand to rub like dry powder wiping. Sounds odd, but extremely effective when done right. Clean, dry, and environmentally safe. Ash. After a campfire, cooled ash was used for gentle sanitizing, especially useful when clean leaves weren't available. These methods weren't random, they were taught carefully, selectively, and were both practical and natural. In special cases, such as when someone was ill, Aboriginal people might use fire to dispose of waste, burning faeces, burned used leaves, and treating the area with smoke to ensure no one else got infected. They had no concept of viruses, but they understood. Cleanliness equals survival. Some rituals even involved burning fragrant leaves after going to the toilet, as a way to dispel bad spirits, deodorize, and purify the temporary space. Both hygienic and spiritual. Makes perfect sense. After going to the toilet, some groups would erase traces using branches, sweeping sand, covering footprints, or sprinkling ash. Not because they were ashamed, but because no one wants to step in someone else's business. And also, for another reason, wild animals might sniff out waste. So if you were hunting or hiding, waste could betray you to dingoes or other predators. So cleaning up was a survival skill, moshkrek, both hygienic and strategic. In the Aboriginal world, cleanliness wasn't just about the body. It was about the mind, the energy, and the relationship with the land and sky. Acts that seem very ordinary, like bathing or going to the toilet, were in fact small yet profound rituals, deeply tied to the spirit of Dreamtime, where every action carried meaning and consequences beyond what we imagine. Each morning, when the sun just rose, many Aboriginal people didn't bathe just because they sweated. They bathed to shake off dreams, to cut ties with the spiritual world just passed through during the night. Because Dreamtime wasn't just the past, it was a flowing current of present and future. In sleep, people could meet ancestors, contact spirits, or accidentally carry invisible influences. So, morning bathing wasn't just body cleansing, but a gentle ritual to separate from the dream world, to be ready for a new day. A day where every step left a mark in Mother Earth. In the desert, where water was scarcer than food, the smoke from burning fragrant leaves was the clean water for the soul. Aboriginal people had an ancient ceremony called the smoking ceremony, using smoke from leaves like eucalyptus, acacia, or paper bark to cleanse the body, clothes, weapons. Not just to deodorize, but to rid old energy, cleanse bad luck, heal pain, or prepare for a new journey. After a hunt, a funeral, or even an argument in the community, people would gather, burn leaves, and walk through the smoke, as if saying, "I leave my burden behind, I begin again, fresh and clean." In regions with water, especially in the north with springs and underground rivers, Aboriginal people didn't just bathe to cool off. Whenever stepping into water, they would hum ancestral songs, songlines, connecting themselves with the sacred place they were touching. Because water wasn't for careless use. Every stream had its own spirit, every flow was an ancestral path. Bathing without greeting, without singing, was disrespectful. And if you disrespect nature, nature won't protect you. So, bathing was also a ritual, a thank you, a morning greeting to the ancestors, through the cool, clear water. Indeed, even after going to the toilet, Aboriginal people might mutter a small phrase, a sorry to the land they just used, because the land wasn't an infinite resource. It was where Mother birthed all species, and they just left something not so pretty for her. At least a kind word should be said. In some groups, young people were taught to draw a small sign on the sand to remind themselves, "This place has been used, don't use again." You might think it's superstition, but if you look closely, you'll see. They didn't just live on the land. They lived with gratitude, every action, every detail. Instead of saying, "Go bathe, wipe properly," Aboriginal people told Dreamtime stories. That long ago, a spirit roamed the desert without washing its hands and left a stink everywhere. So the ancestors created the tea tree to heal and taught people to use antiseptic leaves since then. Or the story of the cricket living in a termite mound, always peeing everywhere, eventually got kicked out by the termites and had to live alone. Those stories didn't scare kids. They made kids understand. When children understand that hygiene is tied to honor and soul, they will take care of it without being forced. To modern people, hygiene is private, quick. The more discreet, the better. To Aboriginal people, every cleaning moment is an opportunity to connect. With the community, smoke together. With the land, bathe in streams, burn ash. With insects, ants, termites clean up. And with spirits, through songs, gratitude. They don't see cleanliness as a luxury. They see it as a spiritual responsibility, like breathing, like eating. And thanks to that, they lived healthily, cleanly, and closer to nature than anyone, without showers or sanitizing gels. In a world where you can turn on the tap anytime, start the washing machine anywhere, it might be hard to imagine how Aboriginal people stayed clean, with seemingly nothing. But that's the beauty of Dreamtime. Everything has a purpose. Every act, even as small as a sneeze or a wee, can be a ritual if you do it with awareness and respect for nature. And that is the journey of hygiene that's not just clean, but deeply spiritual, of the Aboriginal ancestors, where every drop of water, every gust of wind, even a swarm of ants had its own role. If you're impressed with how the ancestors kept their bodies clean and honored the earth this deeply, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more strange but wonderful stories like this. What would you like to discover next in the Dreamtime world? Leave a comment. Who knows? Your suggestion might be our next video.